Hey guys, this is Kris Jones for episode 25 of Ask Me Anything. Today is part 2 in a series that I'm doing on growing your business, maximizing your profits, and oh man, if you could find your passion, that is what my purpose is, my friends. So today we are going to pick up where we left off, talking about how to grow your business. And the sort of overlying idea here is to think like a growth marketer. In the previous episode, I started with just the reality that, as a first-time entrepreneur or business owner, we have this unbridled level of energy and excitement and determination. We think that our idea is unique. We think that it's different. We think that it's going to be successful. But the cold, hard facts are that most of us don't succeed. In fact, a lot of data out there suggests that as much as 90% of small business owners and entrepreneurs fail. That sucks. That sucks really bad. If you think about what I'm trying to do with these 100 videos as part of Ask Me Anything, first and foremost, I want you to live a full life filled with passion and energy and excitement so that you get to a point in your life where you could focus mostly on contribution. But I'd be remiss if I didn't also admit that I want to share with you the specific reasons why the 10% that succeed. Why those 10%, what they do, how they do it, and why they do it is what we're going to explore. It's what I've dedicated the last 20 years of my life to. And for those of you that know me, you know that I'm someone who walks my talk. I'm not just sitting here in front of this camera trying to pontificate about what I want to do. I actually do, and I have a proven track record of success. So these tips that I'm going to share with you today are based on that. Not only based on my own success, but based on the success of others that I've studied and I've followed and I've had the great fortune of becoming friends with or acquaintances of or whatever. So one of the first tip is focus. So, if you kind of use a scientific method approach, today's tips are going to be somewhat based in science. What I mean by that is we need to test things. But one of the requirements of being able to test is by being able to focus. You need to know what you're measuring. So I find what happens is that sometimes we'll launch a business without clarity around what exact problem we're solving, right? What problem we're solving. Or, there's different ways of thinking about this. The one example is what they call a pain pill. What is your pill? Like, what are you reducing? What are you increasing? At the end of the day, I think you need to be very, very clear about that. And you also need to be careful that you, just being an entrepreneur. And I remember early in my career, it's one of the things that the question, why become an entrepreneur? And you guys know the list, right? It's all about independence. It's all about freedom. It's all about being able to break down any barriers to financial security. Those things are great. But when it comes to actually building a business, you need an idea, and you need an idea that you could test for product market fit. So being laser focused is critical. Here's another one of my secrets for tip 2 here that I can't stress enough. In the previous episode, I mentioned that I think ideas are a dime a dozen. I probably didn't say this, but I'm going to say it now. I think that ideas tend to be overrated. I think that investors, our friends, we just invest too much hype in ideas. And at the end of the day, I don't think you have to reinvent the wheel. That's my tip. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. I have a sort of running joke with all of my portfolio companies that I've invested in, that I invest in people, not ideas. And then I give them this example. I say, you know what, guys? If I decide that I'm going to invest in you because I think you're going to be successful with or without me, and with me involved because of my experience and my network that I've built, I think I'm going to be able to accelerate your success. But then I'll say, you know what, guys? You know what the real test is for me? Whether or not you and I could partner up and build a $5 million purple ketchup company. Purple ketchup. Just take the base ketchup recipe and turn it purple. If you and I could do that together, then we know how to execute a business. And by the way, that's not a joke. I really feel that it's about getting the recipe right, not the idea. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you want to become a successful entrepreneur, you don't necessarily have to invent something that doesn't exist. You just have to execute it better than others who are trying to execute it. Or you have to do it in a different way, or you have to do it in a way that pays respect to what it is and what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur. So you can't guess if things are working. This can't be, you have to hold yourself accountable. You've got to be able to compare the performance of your product to how it's performed in the past. You have to be on the lookout for feedback, both qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative meaning I want a refund. Qualitative meaning I really enjoyed the experience here, or I really like your product, but here's what I'd like to see. You need to look to both qualitative and quantitative feedback to know whether or not things are working. And again, the ultimate, unfortunately, it kind of pulls the life out of the excitement of entrepreneurship. It's all in the numbers. Numbers, unfortunately, don't lie. For too many of the 90%, they believe that their numbers are going to change without them changing. And honestly, it's just not how it works. You've got to look at business success as an ongoing experiment where you're constantly testing things and holding yourself accountable for the tweaks that you're making that get you closer or further from where you want to go. So again, the tip here is don't guess things are working. The laser focus idea is a little bit different than this tip, which is don't be a generalist, become a specialist. What I've found is that the most successful entrepreneurs end up solving a very specific problem, not a whole set of problems. It's much, much more difficult to set a whole, set of problems than it is a specific problem. It's also a lot easier to be consistently right or more consistently right, because by being a specialist, you're able to take what limited bandwidth and limited brain power and limited resources you have and concentrate it into a very, very specific area. So if you want to increase the likelihood that you're going to be successful, take your business and see if it passes a complexity test. Can you take out some of the parts of your business, some of the things, some of the people you serve, some of the constituencies you serve, and become more focused, become more a specialist, serve a specific category of people. If you're a digital marketing company, maybe you just focus on lawyers or dentists or tire manufacturers or whatever it is. I have friends and I know people who have been able to build companies and sell them within 5 years by being a specialist. Whereas I have friends that have still been in business 10 years later. They haven't failed, but they're still struggling to succeed because they're trying to please a lot of different constituencies. And then finally, listen, thinking like a growth marketer requires you to leverage digital marketing. First and foremost, because digital marketing creates a level of transparency and accountability that just hasn't existed in marketing and advertising. If you think about television, television has used things like the Nielsen ratings, which are imprecise, imperfect, and result in a lot of waste of your marketing and advertising dollars. The radio industry, uses a similar metric, which basically ranks geographical areas based on how many listeners those areas are supposedly have. In contrast, when you leverage digital marketing, so let's just use some paid strategies like Facebook ads or Google AdWords, you're truly paying for performance. The performance might be a click, it might be a website visitor, it might be a phone call, it might be the submission of a lead form on your website. But ultimately, growth marketers, which I believe the 10% represent, are able to make sure that all of their investments around growth are accountable and transparent. And if you've watched my previous videos and you stick around with me for future ones, we'll talk very specifically about digital marketing strategies that will help you grow your business. This was episode 25 of Ask Me Anything. I will see you guys soon for part 3, episode 26. Take care. Have a great day.